Bo sent me an interesting story about a Tea Party false flag. It's not what you think. Usually the Tea Party is alleging that other things were false flag attacks, but we have an actual false flag that was one that the Tea Party set up. The Tea Party of Miami put up they did a whole display, a whole protest to oppose what they call a land grab, which would see 46,000 acres of sugar farmland restored for Everglades conservation. Not a bad thing. The problem is that the so-called protesters were actors being paid $75 each to show up and appear to be protesting. The protest was on Thursday outside of the South Florida Water Management District, and it was staged by the Tea Party of Miami and a group called Florida Citizens Against Waste. And they put up a Facebook ad calling for actors. They've since deleted that Facebook post after it leaked that those weren't actually protesters. Let's take a look at the video. Maybe you buy it that these are real protesters.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the open waters, from the Redwood Forest to the New York Islands. This land was made for you and me. This money represents the over $2 billion of taxpayers' money that's going to be wasted if the Everglades land purchase goes through.
So there was a Facebook post which said, political rally protesters needed. It offered $75 for up to 40 actors to show up from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. They were not including breakfast, Lewis, in that compensation plan. They basically had to stand holding banners and signs that would be provided. They could wear whatever they want, and they would get $75 cash. I have to admit, looking at the clip, those people do look super confused about what on earth they're doing there.
Confused and not very enthusiastic. So.
No.
So the acting is actually, it's not good acting, I think we could say.
They should have upped it to $150 for the actors. Maybe they would have gotten more convincing so-called protesters. Not that we needed any more proof that the Tea Party is the farthest thing from a grassroots movement, but here is a little bit more proof. I actually wonder how many of these so-called actors were opposed to the message that they were supposedly in support of. Maybe they distanced themselves and they said, hey, I'm playing a role here, the same way that I might play the role of someone who has a political belief that differs from mine. I'm just acting here.
The Koch brothers, I think, if they could have, they could hire A-list celebrities to be in these protests. That would be some great acting, and I think it'd be a lot more believable.
Isn't it just bizarre and absurd that the Tea Party has to resort to this? If it were such a strong feeling that the residents of the area were against conserving these 46,000 acres of sugarland, you'd think that they would be able to get actual protesters out as opposed to having to offer $75 to people who show up and act like they're in a time warp, right? These people look so confused about what they're even doing.
Isn't that the epitome of the Tea Party? I mean, funded by billionaires from the start, just throw money at something, create it, and create a monster.